Welcome back. This is pattern number 3 in my series from basic to intermediate to advanced. So this is number 1 of the intermediate. It's called a basket weave, where you work back and forth. Like here you are knitting, here you're purling, you knit, purl, knit, purl. It's a different format from the first ones we did, which were yarn overs and knit 2 together. So I wanted to show now moving the needle back and forth from front to back. The other was keeping the needle either on the front or the back. And as you can see on the back, there's this little rib stitch. This stitch here is a roll of knit in between each of the patterns. And the reason for that is not to make the back different, but it makes the front blend in a little better. If we didn't put that in there, you'd really see the difference between the exchanges from going from a knit to a purl. So I'll talk about that later. This one actually is, I think, about 9 inches. Yeah, this one's 9 inches, and some of the others were 10. Now you can make it 9, just add more stitches, or you can make it 10. Well, make 10, you'd add more stitches. But I will go ahead and get started on this, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll ask you in advance, thank you for watching. Number 3 in my series of face cloths is a basket weave pattern. We've learned how to do the yarn over and knit 2 together to make an eyelet, how to do a roll of purl and a roll of knit. Now the one we're going to do does not have any yarn overs or knit 2 togethers. It's strictly moving the yarn back and forth from the front of the needle to the back of the needle, because this section here, let me enlarge this a bit for you. This section here is purl, and next to it is knit. So you're constantly moving the yarn from the back, this is whether it's in the back to the front, to the back to the front. So this is the one we're going to work on next. I'll go ahead and start like I did the last time. I'll cast on the 53 stitches, and I'll knit 7 rows, increasing 4 stitches evenly across the last row, which would make it up to 57 stitches. So when I get to that point, I'll come back and we'll start row 1 of the basket weave. Since this is standard, there's no need to show this again because you know how to do that. Okay, I got 6 rows knitted. Now I'm ready to do the 7th row, where I'm going to increase 4 stitches evenly across. Please excuse my voice. I have a sore throat today, so I may not be talking as much as usual, but we're going to increase on every 11th stitch, just like we've done in the past. So we knit 10 and then increase on number 11. Okay, now on number 11, we knit in the front and back of the same stitch, and that gives us 1 increase. Now we're going to knit 10 more. Okay, now we're going to increase in the front and back of the same stitch, so that's increase number 2. Okay, increase number 3. And if it's hard to hear me, increase the volume on your computer or iPad, and you should be able to hear me a little better. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to increase in this one. It still gives us plenty of stitches on this end, so it's pretty well balanced. We could have done the increase on the 10th stitch. It would have been just as close, but either way works. You just want to get them as even as possible. Okay, so now I've got all the increases. So now it says knit row 1. So that one, I'm not going to make you watch. I'm going ahead and whip through it real quick and then come back on row number 2. Okay, I'm just about finished with row 1 of the pattern. I'm down to about 6 stitches. Then we'll check out row 2. Now this is a basket weave, so it's going to be back and forth with knitting and purling on each row. And you have to pay close attention to your pattern. Okay, row 1. They all start the same way. Knit 6 and knit 6 at the end. The only difference is whether you're going to purl or knit the next 5 stitches. So we'll start with the first one where we knit 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we're going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what's inside the parentheses is what we repeat over and over again until we get to the last 6 stitches. Because see here, we're going to end the repeat with a knit 5, which will match this knit 5. So it's going to purl 3, knit 5. So we bring the yarn to the front, purl 3. You just have to make sure that you move the yarn to the back before you knit 5. If you don't move the yarn to the back, you're going to get like a yarn over, which will make an extra stitch, plus it'll also make a hole in your work. So it'll look like an eyelet. So you have to be careful and make sure you don't accidentally do a yarn over per se. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we purl 3. 1, 2, 3. Take the yarn to the back, knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bring the yarn to the front, purl 3. Take the yarn to the back, knit 5. Purl 3. Okay, so now at this point we should have 11 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which we have because we knit 5, which is the last 5 in the repeat. And then we knit the last 6. Now you're not really going to see much of the pattern yet because we've only done 1 row. Okay, so we've got 1 row done. You really can't see much. If you look real close, you can see there's your purl stitches and there's your knit stitches. Okay, let's go to row 2. Row 2 is knit 6. I'm sorry, we're doing row 3. Knit 6, purl 5, which is the opposite of the knit 5. That way all your knitting stitches will be on the same side and all your purl looking stitches will be on this lined up. So let's start with our knit 5. Okay, so now we're going to purl, knit 6, I'm sorry, 1, 2, right. Okay, so now we're going to purl 5. So you see these are purled, so we want to purl on top of them. Now on the other side they were knitted, but when we turned our work they look like purls. And then we knit 3, which is right there, and then purl 5. So there's your 3 knits. See how smooth they are? There's no bumps there. So those are the 3 we're going to knit. One. Then we're going to purl 5. And then we're going to knit 3. Then we're going to purl 5. So we're just going to repeat this. It's going to be kind of monotonous because it's going to be the same thing over and over and over again. Just after every so many rolls, you're going to knit on top the purls and purl on top the knits. That's what causes the basket weave look. You need 5 of these. And we're going to knit 3. And we're going to purl 5. Now we're going to knit 3. Now we're going to purl 5. And there should be 6 left to knit, 2 for which there is. Okay, so we know we've got the right amount of stitches. Okay, so now we've done row 1, 2, and 3. So now row 4 is the same thing as row 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up these last 3 rows doing the knit 6, knit 5, and then the purl knit, then knit 6, purl 5, and then the knit purl. And when I get to row 7, I'll come back and we'll be able to see what we've done and the reason why we do this knit roll in the middle of all these other stitches. Okay, I've just about got row 7 finished. Since it was just a basic straight knit roll, I didn't think I should waste your time showing you how to do a knit roll all the way across. The reason for this knit roll is like a resting roll. It allows an easy transition between the knit stitches, which are going to become purl, and the purl stitches, which are going to become knit. Now, when you go over the knit stitches, you're actually going to be doing 5. So it's going to looks kind of odd. That's why if you do this one roll and knit across, everything lays, as you can see, really pretty here. I learned that the hard way. And if you notice, I've got 2 markers here. The reason for the markers is just an option. It's not a necessity, but sometimes it's easy to get mixed up with your knit 6 when you wanted to knit or purl the 5. It just kind of helps give you a little break between where your border edges are. So if you miscount someplace when you get to the final stitch and you don't have the final stitch or the full 5 stitches, you know you've made a mistake somewhere in that roll. So it's easy to fix the roll now than to fix it later. Okay, so we're going to start here, knit 6. So I'm going to knit 6 and then put a marker on. It's purely optional. You do not have to put a marker on. It's just I'm showing another option. Sometimes when you're first starting out and having to constantly switch from knits to purls, it's easy if you have a little marker to let you know where you're at. So you just slide it on. Okay, now we're going to knit 1 and purl 3. And then the repeat is knit 5, purl 3. So we're going to knit 5. See how we're going to knit this one purl stitch here, and then we're going to do those, and then the one over here. That's why this one roll of knit in between is a great way to make the transition very soft and it's not noticeable. Okay, so there's the 5. Now we're going to purl those last 3, which were the middle of the knits. Okay, now we're going to knit 5. And then we're going to purl 3. Knit 5. Purl 3. And then we're going to knit 5. Then we're going to purl 3, knit 5, purl 3, and it says repeat to the last 7 and then knit 7. 2, 4, 6, oops, 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to just knit 1, because that'd be the same as right here. See, if I had done a knit 1, then knit 6, because I got purl 1, knit 6, this should be knit 1, knit 6. And I didn't write it that way. I really think I'm going to fix it because it'll be a lot easier to make sense. Okay, so I'm going to knit 6. And once I get all 6 of them done and proofed, I'm going to fix all the little boo-boos, like some of the other ones I said in the beginning, and then I'll repost it. Okay, so I've already done row 8. Now I'm going to do row 9, which is knit 6, purl 1, knit 3, and then the repeat. Okay, so we start with knit 6, and the marker should be right at the knit 6 spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip the marker because we're not going to knit it. And then we're going to purl 1, so bring the yarn to the front, purl 1. And then we're going to knit 3. What we're doing now is getting it set up for the repeat. And then it's purl 5, knit 3 across, so we're going to purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I've got a mistake here. So I need to find out what my mistake is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it's purl 1, knit 3, purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got an odd stitch there. Let's see if I turn it over. Let's see if I can figure out what it is. So we have a knit 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, purl 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 5, purl 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, 7. I've got a mistake somewhere here. Let me figure out what the mistake is and I'll come back. I found out what the problem is. I had done what I said be careful not to do. I'd got this yarn over right here. It's near the end, so I could take them all the way out. To take them out, you would just put your needle in the previous stitch and then it'll pull out, and then you move over and do the same thing. You put the needle in the stitch down below and pull the yarn out, the stitch down below and pull out. Or if you're so far away and you don't want to take the time to pull them all out, since it is just a face cloth, there's another option. See, this is a purl here. Okay, now we're back to my boo-boo stitch. So you can see the yarn over. What I do sometimes is I will knit the yarn over with the correct knit stitch. So it's almost like knitting 2 together, but it's getting that yarn over into another stitch and it disappears. So that's kind of a quick way to do it. So now I'm back to the knit 3. Okay, now I'm correct. Now that's not something you may not want to do. You may want to take your stitches out and do it the correct way. But if it's so far away and you really don't want to take the time, because it is just a face cloth and you can't really see it, you can do it. It's entirely up to you. It is your project. And if you want to do that little boo-boo fix, you can do the little boo-boo fix. And now I'm back to doing the actual pattern. That's what makes this pattern so nice. You know where your stitches are. You know these are knit here and you know these are purl because of the bumps. And if your stitch count is off, you can look back and see where it's off. Oh, now you can see here. This is the roll that I went across with, and you can see it right here. It's very smooth underneath this purl, and it blends in so well with the knit that you can't see it. But when you get to the purl, we have to do a purl over knit. It blends in nicely with that, so it just gives you this real nice finished look. And you can't see a transition between the knit roll and the purl roll. If you don't want to put that roll of knit in, you don't have to. I just found it's nice to have it as like a little break or rest spot, so that way all your other stitches from all your other rolls kind of blend in together, and you can't really see that there is a correction there. Now you can use that in other patterns. If you're doing a pattern where there's some major changes in yarn color, if you do one roll in knit before you do your changes of color, that'll help make it all blend in nicely, and you see an easy transition. I have one pattern that I've done that I have to do that between the color changes, and I'll see which one that is, and then I will, after I get the face cloths done, maybe that'll be the one I do next. Okay, see, now I'm back to the marker, and it says to purl 1, then knit 6. So see, I'm at purl 1, and there's the marker, so I know there's 6 here. So that means I have the correct amount of stitches at the end. I found the mistake early. If I had not found the mistake, I would have went all the way across, and when I got to this point, I would not have had 1 stitch there. I would have had 2, and I would have known I had a mistake. Okay, so there. You can really see how that one roll of knit makes the transition between the knits and the purls so nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Let's see, I just finished row 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, 9. I'll go ahead and do these next 3 rows, and then I'll come back and we'll see where I'm at, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm just about finished with row 12, and as you can see, you know where you're at pretty much, because see, these are your 5 knits. See how nice and smooth they are, and then there's your 3 purls, because you can see the bumps. So you can actually see where you're at as you are working it. If you kind of forget your count, just look at your stitches, and if it's smooth, you know it's a knit. So knit all the smooth ones. There's another one. There's another one. But now the next one's got a bump, so that's the purl. So bring your yarn to the front, knit the bump. There's another bump. Knit the bump. There's a bump. Now the next one is smooth, so that one would be a knit. And slide your marker. That's if you want to use them. If you don't want to use them, you don't have to. And now this is row 12. So that's the end of the actual pattern. This is a 12 row pattern, but it's a fairly basic one. Okay, so let me do this. Now this is the back of your work. The reason I know it's the back is because you see this. This is that roll of knit we had to do to make the front come out smooth. So you see how nice and smooth the front is because we did that roll of knit. And like I said, this is great to use when you're switching to knits to purls or switching colors. It's really a great way to do it. All right, so now let's go back to the pattern. Work the 12 rows of the basket weave 3 more times. So repeat rows 1 through 6. Actually, I should say, after you do the 3 more times, then repeat rows 1 through 6 once more. So I really should have the word more there. And then you would knit across, decreasing 4 stitches evenly on the second row, just like we did before, bind off and weave in tails. Now, this one may not need to be blocked as much because when you're doing knits and purls and on opposites, it has a tendency to lay more flat. When you're doing all knits on one side and all purls on the other, it has a tendency to coil like this. But because we're doing knits on purls and purls on knits, it may lay flat enough you may not have to do to block it. So let's look and see. I'll go ahead and get it all the way through to about right here. I may stop at one point and come back and show you what it looks like when we get, maybe about that big. And then I'll show you when we get to the end. Okay, let's see. I just want to show you where I'm at. As you can see, it really has that basket weave look. I've done it once, and it said a total of 4 times. So here's 1, here's 2, Here's 3. I still have to do 1 more set plus the first 6 a second time. So I want to show you the back. As you can see on the back, everywhere I did that continuous roll and knit, you can see the actual purl stitches here. But when you go to the front, you get this beautiful, nice woven look. So I'll go ahead and finish the last 4 and then do 1 through 6 once more, and then we'll go ahead and finish it up. So I'll go get started on it so we can get it done quicker. Okay, I'm doing row 6, which is right here where it says repeat rows 1 through 6 once more. So I'm right here on row 6. I'm just about done. And as you can see, there's my knits. And I have to do 5 of them. And then when I have the purls, there's 3. You can see there's definitely 3 there because this one's a knit. So we're going to purl 3. Then we're going to knit 5. And I definitely came out correct because when I knitted the 5, I'm at the marker, which means that I have 6 left. So I'm going to take the marker off because we're to the point we really don't need the markers anymore, because what we're doing is just straight line knitting from this point on. So let me go ahead and get these last 3 done. Okay, so now it says to knit 7 rows, decreasing 4 stitches evenly across the second row. So I'm going to knit 1 row first, just like we've been doing. I've got this 1 row, you can see, which kind of separates the sections and gives a smooth transition. So this one is just straight knit. Row 2 is the one we're going to start doing the decreases on. And here's just plain knitting. There's no purling, no counting, just go straight across. This is when knitting is mindless because you don't have to worry about any counts or any designs. You just go across. I'm about halfway. I'll go ahead and finish because the next row will be the decrease row, and I've already counted. I'll do 10 stitches and then I'll decrease by knitting number 11 and 12 stitched together. The only time you have a knit 2 together is on this decrease roll. Like we only had 1 roll of increases where we knitted in the front and back loop of the same stitch. Otherwise, there was nothing fancy or elaborate about this. We just practiced moving our yarn from the front to the back, from knitting to purling. Where the last ones we concentrated more on yarn overs and knit 2 togethers. Oh, and we also did a pass slip stitch over and a slip stitch. So oh no, that one I haven't done yet. I think that's the next one. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. The last one was just the yarn over knit 2 togethers. I'm just about done. Okay, I'll go ahead and take this other marker off because I won't need it any longer. Three more stitches. Then we'll do row 2, which is the decrease 4 evenly across, and I've figured it out where we knit 10, then knit 11 and 12 together. So let's do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to knit 2 together. So put your needle behind the second one and go through both of them. I always do it right on the tip. That gives me the little extra space in the stitches so I can actually get both of them. If I work too far back, I wouldn't be able to get the needle underneath them as I can when they're on the tips. Okay, one more. I can see if I stayed back here, it'd be, I can because I'm used to doing it and I keep my stitches loose. But if you can't, you can always take it closer up on the tip And that gives you a little more open space to work with. So then you can knit the 2 together. And then again we'll knit 10. I pushed them up a little too far, I'm a little too close to the tip. So I'm just going to have to hold them with my fingers. I'm not exactly sure how many I've done here. I'd say that's close enough to 10. Okay, now we do 10 more. Almost there. 9, 10. Now we're going to knit 2 together. And that's number 4, and we just knit to the end. Whether there's 8 stitches, 10 stitches, 12 stitches, it doesn't matter. You're still reasonably evenly spaced when you decrease in stitches 11 and 12 on this particular pattern. Okay, so I've got that done. Now I've done row 2, and it says to knit 7 rows, and I've done 2. So I need to knit 5 more, and then I need to do the bind off. So I'll see you back here after I've got the next 5 done. Okay, I'm down to the wire. All I have left is a few more bind offs. And like I've said on earlier videos, you want to bind off kind of in a relaxed, loose way, because you don't want it to be tight and you don't want it to be kind of rough lace. So depending on the way you bind off, you may have to use a needle one size larger in order to get that relaxed state. But if you can use the same needle, that's awesome. I'm down to the last 2, and then it looks like this particular one will have to be blocked because the way it's designed, it kind of puckers in the middle. So I pull up my end, trim my tail, and put the tail through the loop, and then pull it tight. Okay, let me get this out of the way. There we go. And the needle and the thread. Okay, now we can actually see our finished product, and it does pucker in the middle. Oops, let me do that. It does pucker in the middle because the type of stitch it is in here, these kind of like to do this, kind of like a rib stitch on one side, and when you turn it over, it kind of wants to do it a bit on the other side. But as you can see with the back side, there's those stitches we did, which gives you a rough side and a smooth side. So let's see, I never did measure this one. This one measures out to roughly 9 inches by 9 inches, so that's good. So the next thing we'll do is give it a good douse of water, and then stretch it out. The water helps relax the fibers enough that you can stretch it out. Now if you had a foam board, you could actually put pins in it and help hold it, and then use a ceiling fan to help dry it. I usually like to just get it the way I want it, so like the water doesn't hurt. You don't want to soak it, but you want to make sure it's damp. And then I take a heavy book and put a heavy book on it and let it wait overnight. And then tomorrow morning when I take the book off, it still might be a little damp, but it's going to hold its shape really well. And if for some reason it doesn't hold its shape completely, because it still wants to do that, you can always dampen it again and do it a second time. Or you can take a steam iron, get your pins and pin it out to where you want it, and then hold your steam iron about 1 inch above your piece, because you don't want to touch it with your steam iron because it will damage the fibers, and you definitely don't want it to damage the fibers. So you hold it above, and it'll block it that way too. That's the other way of blocking it. Okay, I'll check this back in the morning and see what it looks like. Okay, let's see how it looks. Oh, turned out really well. This has really turned out nice. You can still see the basket weave in it. You can always fluff it a little bit too, and you can see it a little bit better. And of course the back is just the rougher side. But this is the 3rd one in my series, I think, or is it the 4th one? I think, no, this is the 3rd one. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you appreciate what I've done, please subscribe, hit notifications, so when the next one is done, you'll be one of the first ones to see it. There's still 3 more left, 1 more intermediate, because this is considered an intermediate, and then I have 2 advanced ones. But I'm taking them one step at a time, so you go from a basic design all the way up to this where you changing the position of your needles into slip stitches and yarn overs and pass slip stitch overs and SSKs. By the time we're done, you'll see all these different techniques. And if you follow the patterns from 1 through 6, you will be able to do all these also, and even expand your knowledge and ability. Thank you for watching.